You guys just missed it. This feather actually fell out of my angel wings. What's good, guys? So my name is Sumed Chatterjee. I'm known as Dr. Scripps. I'm known as Zoom. I'm known as Sum. I'm known as Majesty. That's the name that I say when I go into Starbucks. I just call myself Majesty. I think it's quite funny when I do that because the baristas always get hella confused. And once I had a barista say, when I was in Delhi, she said, "Are you a stage magician by chance?" And I said, "Not really, but I can probably read your mind." And then she cracked up. But anyway, today I want to talk about a very important topic, okay? Because I want to go and take a stand against this workaholism culture of working 9 to 5, okay? This really bad habit that we have of chasing. And in positive psychology, we call it the hedonic treadmill. There's something called hedonic adaptation. One of the only ways you can go beyond that is by taking positive action. Gratitude, which is cumulative, right, in a sense. You don't just do gratitude one night and then forget about it. You make gratitude a part of your days and part of your lifestyle. This is why I become grateful for my senses. What can I smell? And this is very powerful, man, because yesterday my nose was clogged, and I had a sore throat, right, and all these different things. And so today, as I'm on a little bit of medication, I can actually breathe. And I'm way more grateful for that fact that I can actually breathe deeper. And yeah, it's a very, very gratifying feeling. And you know, I discovered something yesterday. I don't know if you guys know of Louise's house, Louise's house, you know? I think her work is very interesting, and it's very like popularized in the self-help communities and stuff like this. But she has like a list of symptoms and causes and basically spiritual insights or what it means spiritually, okay? So as far as I remember, like the one for anxiety said, not being able to trust the flow of life. And if I ever look back on my journey, yep, that was probably it, you know? That was one of the reasons why I wasn't really confident instead of anxious, is I wouldn't trust the Tao. I wouldn't trust the flow of life. And you guys can check out this list. Obviously take it with a grain of salt, okay? Don't be stupid. Read the disclaimer. And also, you know, just because it says that, you know, this means that you have repressed anger, it doesn't have to mean that unless it's within a particular context. And, you know, again, don't just believe in it. But I think I like looking at these things because they always give me a different perspective, right? And having a different perspective allows me to solve the issue much easier instead of trying to, you know, force my way to the top or trying to push there or use this hustle mentality, which is dead now, okay? Hustle is dead. It's about alignment. It's about flow state. This is the new era where we're finally starting to realize how important it is to enjoy the work that we're doing and not just doing something robotically just to get the paycheck or just to get the thing at the end. And hey, sometimes we gotta do that, right? Like we gotta go through a process. Maybe you're transitioning from one job to the next. Maybe you're still figuring things out, what you're truly passionate about. That's completely valid, okay? That's normal. But I look at certain people and I see them very differently in terms of their occupation. You know, you're not your occupation, remember. You're way beyond that. You're multidimensional. You're not just this, you know, robot who's there to work and be a workhorse. That's how we're raised. We're raised to go to school, to get a job, to get married, to have kids, and then die. Okay? Now, if you're against this paradigm, or if you're like, hey, I don't have to follow this predetermined performa that is kept there for me by society based on what has worked most for most people. Like, what? You're telling me I'm born into a world where everything's already predetermined for me, right? Especially in India, you are, oh, he will be a doctor and an engineer, or he will be a chartered accountant. It's like these three options, bro. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, I just want to do what I want to do, right? What's up, guys? Right? So that's really important to consider, is that you don't just follow along with whatever your other people are telling you, right? Like, I've heard so many times, you guys have no idea how many times I've heard, oh yeah, my friends did it, so I guess I'm doing it too. You might not have any interest in that subject field, but oh yeah, you know, just because Jared did it, I mean, you know, Rahul did it, you know, Shakanasia did it. Thinking about some, you know, more politically correct names in a sense, so I don't get canceled. You have to think of like Shaniqua and, you know, Jingdong. And, you know, they made, I told you guys this, right? They made Scooby-Doo, Daphne Asian, and they made Shaggy black, okay? Now, to some of you, you might be like, oh, that's quite interesting, actually. Huh. You know, I wonder what an Asian American Daphne actually brings to the table, you know, some of you guys. But others are like, what the hell? You changed Shaggy's name to Norville? And he's a black dude? Stop ruining my childhood. Get out of here. Okay? Like, hey, it's dope to have a black Shaggy. I get it. But stop changing the old school classics, man. What if they made a Tom and Jerry, right? Where instead of a cat, they made him like some other creature. You get what I'm saying? Like, instead it's about two dogs, right? Like Jim and Jared over and over again. Jim and Jared, right? Two dogs. And it's the same theme, but now it's just with dogs. Okay. That's cool, I guess. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. You know why? It's inevitable because we're a part of this remix-ass culture. Okay? Everything is just sampled. Everything is taken out of context, taken from somewhere else, mixed together with this thing and this other thing, and integrated. And integration is a powerful catalyst for your healing. You can actually have a lot of power when you can bring in your gifts and actually optimize them, okay? But I'm looking at productivity more like magnetism. Getting yourself to manifest the actual reality and working smarter, not harder, okay? Actually making it easier for you by knowing what your top strengths are. Like, if your top strength is humor and you're not applying your humor in your daily life, bro, you're not going to be productive. You get what I'm saying? Like, what your top strengths are, you're not actually actualizing it. You know what? Fuck personal development in a sense, because it sounds like real estate first and foremost. It's about personal reconstruction, okay? So it's destruction, it's surgery. It's emotional surgery that you have to go through in order for you to get to this new paradigm where you don't have to hustle your way to the top. But you realize, using the law of assumption, I'm already there. It's already mine. I've already made it. I'm already complete. And that actually relaxes your system. There's a nervous system dysregulation, well, regulation. There's a nervous system regulation that happens when you tell yourself, it's already mine, I already got it. You know what? Have I ever told you how grateful I am? You know what, man? Isn't life just the most beautiful thing in the world, and we're all just so precious? And don't do it, don't just say it to signal virtue, like genuinely feel it and put it out there, right, into the world. Being grateful for your senses, as I mentioned, right? I'm so grateful for the fact that I can be out here, you know, speaking to you guys, spreading this message of flow state being the new hustle. What's wrong with the hustle culture? Well, there's a lot of dynamics that I don't think is very healthy for you in the long term, man. Okay? Never give up, never quit. Listen, man. What if that job is like absolutely whack, really bad for you, toxic, bad work culture, okay? Nothing is ever serving you. You're getting like pennies, you know, compared to what you could be getting. I don't think you should still have the mentality of never give up, never quit. Hustle 24/7. No, I don't think so, man. Get out of there. What are you doing in that work position? Okay? I think it's way better to do something you love and get paid less than to do something you hate and, you know, sell your soul for it. It makes no sense to do something that you don't like for a long extended period of time and making that your entire life. And this is most people that I'm talking about. Most people are dissatisfied with their job. Most people are dissatisfied with their life. So if you just do even 1%, a little bit better, you're still better off, right? You become the flow state Jedi. Other people are going to start looking at you and being like, asking you for advice out of the blue. That's what happened to me when I was in college. When I was in college, you know what I did? I ran a cult. Okay, now some of you are already, you're scared of me and you think I'm already a cult leader, like on this thing, right? And a lot of YouTubers, they joke about that, but really I was actually a part of a cult. This was called the Cult of Shellism. And it was a joke at first. It was kind of more so a fraternity. We didn't do any sketchy things or shady things, you know what I mean? But, wait 1 second. So, you know, in the Cult of Shellism, we just prayed to this this deity that we made up, and I remember, I think this is like the precursor for all of this, right? My life thus far. And rest in peace, Python, who was a part of that community. He's one of my best friends who, we never knew how he died, man. Like, he just completely disappeared off the face of the planet. Some people were saying it's an overdose. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to comment on it because I don't know. I literally don't know. But I know he's out there, and I've sent some of my deities that work with me in the present to go and visit him in the astral, in the quantum, and, you know, in his spiritual form, to give him guidance for his reincarnation in his next life. But yeah, in this group of, you know, guys, just a friend group, right? We just called it a cult. But in that, we had a rules, right? I remember we had this thing called El Bib Karo Naha, or something like that. It was like Torah backwards, Bible backwards, right? Quran backwards. And, you know, Selur for Efil, which is basically, you know, rules of life, backwards. So it was kind of a parody of a cult, right? In a sense, it wasn't a real one. It was like a satire, but it was fun because we had like meetings and little things that we did, talked about self-improvement. It was fun, man. And this was in college, so you gotta understand, this was hipster college in the middle of nowhere, 700 hippie kids on a hill, as I mentioned, right? So it was fun, man. And we also, I remember we buried that Bible or whatever underneath the ground so the next year's, the ones who come in could find it again, like the freshmen and stuff, once I graduated and went on. So that was, it's epic, man. That's like some story that, you know, I would tell my grandkids, like, if I could. Like, bro, I ran a cult when I was in college. Like, that's kind of cool, man. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody can say that. Like, oh yes, I was part of a prestigious fraternity, and my father chose that particular fraternity for me. And in fact, I was just forced into it based on my good merit and my nepotism and connection to my father. Like, what the fuck? Get out of here, bro. You didn't earn any of that, you know? Like, I would rather have a reality where I made up a satirical cult rather than have something that I was forced into and I didn't enjoy one bit. You get what I'm saying? But then again, that's just my personality, man. And some of you have this rebellious spirit. Some of you have this rebellious spirit of, nah, actually, you know what? I'd rather not do that. Nah. Oh, but everybody's doing it, Zoom. But everybody's doing it. Your next door neighbor's doing it. Your dog's doing it. Your pastor, your connection, all your spirit guides are doing it too. Okay. Just because they're doing it doesn't mean I got to do it, right? It's like that same thing the parents used to. Oh, if all your friends jumped off a cliff, would you do it? Okay. Well, do they have bungee cords and paragliders, or are they just stupid, right? Like, are they just suicidal, right? Like, let's get more specific about these things, because a lot of the times, you know, and I told my parents this, yo, today at the lunch table, this brunch, we were all having a meal, and I told them, you know, if kids are made to believe in the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus, some of you watching this video like, wait, but the Tooth Fairy doesn't exist? You know, maybe like 0.01% of you who like clicked on this video, even if I said 18 plus, there's probably some, you know, 14-year-old kid or, you know, 10-year-old kid watching this, or even 4-year-old kid, you know, like, and they're like, oh, but Santa, you mean Santa doesn't exist? Okay. Look, if kids can be made to believe in Santa and all these different things, like these hypothetical scenarios, and like different myths and stories from your ancient culture, like Mahabharata and Ramayana, like something that we just knew, right, you know, growing up. Like, if they're made to believe in all these things, instead of telling kids, like, eat your fruits and veggies, eat your fruits and veggies, like, instead of that, why don't you come up with, like, a conspiracy or an understanding that, well, it's not even an understanding, right? It's just true. But selling it to them in a way where it's like, listen, you know what photosynthesis is, Jimmy? Like, photosynthesis is light, and light is energizing these plants and veggies. And light is the light of God, or the light of the universe. So you got to understand, if you want to be more connected to the light, you got to eat fruits and veggies, right? What about some rationalization and justification and storyline for this? I'm not saying you got to lie to them either. Like, this is partly true, okay? Straight up, this is partly true. So you don't have to lie to them that there's this, you know, a fat dude who comes down your chimney, but it's really like your dad dressed up as that, like in red or whatever, right? Like, instead of that, why don't we start like new conspiracies for the future, where we're like, you know what? If you litter, you're gonna call this really bad entity towards you, and they're gonna psychically attack you. Or, you know, if you keep self-loathing, you'll find that you don't get good grades or something like that, you know, like some kind of weird superstition that helps them stay in line and keeps them in check. It doesn't make them like go off the wall bonkers, right? But really helps them in that moment, like to understand it and create these beliefs. But then again, if they realize it's false beliefs, they might just, you know, go against it and not do it either. So that's the real practice of, like, are you saying it just for like the clouds? Are you saying it for just genuinely helping, right? Because I think the main difference between the flow state mentality, a hustle mentality, or alignment over hustle, whatever you want to call this thing, right? Productivity, like magnetism over productivity. There's so many different things we can call it. I think one of the main differences we got to understand is one mentality, the hustle mentality is like, what am I going to get? What am I going to get, man? What do I get from this? What do I get from this? What am I going to get? Whereas the other one is, what am I going to give? What am I going to give today? What is the value I'm going to spread today? How am I going to show up differently today? How am I going to learn something new today, right? Like this kind of growth mentality based on this other one mentality was like a leeching mindset of like, where's the win? Where's the win? Okay? Instead of understanding that it's win-win. It's about collaborating. Okay? You can't do this thing all on your own, like a lone wolf. You can, but it's just going to take you a really long time. If you want to go far, go with others. Okay? This is so important, guys, because we want to create a ripple effect across the globe in terms of this. We don't want to just create like a false narrative around this and start living and you know, getting stuck in this workaholism and stress and you know, complete chaos. I think people are so attached to the money, so attached to the money that they're not making any. You get what I'm saying? If I wasn't that attached to money, I would be making hella more money. You get what I'm saying? Because it's a state of abundance. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, money's bound to come. It's like a circulation. It's like my blood flow. It's bound to come in because I'm royal, because I deserve it. Right? Because I worked hard for it. You know what I mean? Like, instead of worrying like, oh, it's gonna go away. Oh, I should have saved for a rainy day. This culture is not really a saving culture either. I get that. And we want to spend a lot on memories and like in the present moment and things like this. And understand that our happiness is determined by us being in the present moment and not being in, you know, in the past or the future, trying to continuously go back and forth in time travel. And once we get that, hey, I have integrity, you know, I say what I mean. I've built a very solid character for my wealth accumulation. I built a very solid character to override the system. I don't need to be this hustle entrepreneur, right? Who takes a, you know, picture in his suit outside and all these things. Bro, do you realize how brainwashed you are by that hustle stuff? How many hustling videos have you watched? Of just go ahead, just do it. Just go forward, nothing can stop you. Be so determined. I don't have the time, you make the time. Okay? And that, hey, that's kind of good advice, but then again, it doesn't work for every context. You gotta be context dependent, okay? You can't tell like a kid who's just working on his SATs or something, and you're like, keep hustling till the late in the night and get no sleep. Why? Because success never sleeps. Bro, you realize that if that kid gets a proper nap, he can actually concentrate on his SATs the next day? Like, what are you saying to him? Bro, never sleep? Sometimes, you know, I'm trying to sleep in these days. Like, you know, and I recently found out that even my dad had insomnia when he was younger. But anyway, I have a sleep protocol that I use that's very, very powerful. Also, Paragon ZP helps a little bit. So that's a subliminal. But yeah, man, like getting the right amount of rest and the right amount of like work full out, but then also restful out. Okay, don't do it half and half. When you're working, you kind of give it you're like, you know, maybe I'll just give it 50% today. I'm a little bit under the weather, right? Like I feel a little bit under the weather, but yo, I'm still giving massive value and contribution. You sense that? Right? And I'm not burning myself out by doing that because I'm not pretending. okay? I'm not like trying to protect my persona. Or like, oh, I wonder what I look like in this light or in this light. I'm not worried about that superficial shit. I'm just speaking my God-honest truth from my solar plexus coming out of my diaphragm, baby. It's like, bow, 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 right? And that's how you gotta be, man. You gotta understand how to be the greatest rendition of your character. And you got to be the character that saves you on this path working on this journey. You got to be the type of person who doesn't have those old problems anymore of workaholism and, you know, staying up at night and not like getting anything done, but, you know, showing others just because you're showing others your reputation of like you're a night owl or like you're a midnight oil burner or whatever, that you're doing that. Or you're trying to head to work early just to, you know, prove to the company how much you value this work and how much this job means to you. But really, you like basically almost crashed into someone on the way to work because you were rushing there. And you could have died in a sense. So basically, you're killing yourself where you need to be preserving yourself. Get that? You need to be protecting and preserving yourself. Nurturing yourself like a plant. If a seed is planted, you got to nurture it, man. You got to water it each day. You got to, you know, understand what is a good time. When is it raining? Right? All these different things. They play into it. But if you're kind of like, yeah, this seed is aight, you know? It'll get the moisture that it deserves. Yeah, the sun will help it out. I don't need to worry, you know? That's most people. You have a great idea. I'm gonna change the world, baby. You put it into practice and you give up. You don't do it. Give up hella easy, right? You're like, oh yeah. And I used to be like this, man. I used to quit everything that I started. Like, oh, I'm practice for a week. It doesn't resonate. Yeah. It gets too difficult. Yeah, whatever. Listen, if it gets too difficult, that's a part of it. Whenever you do something new that you're not used to doing, it's going to be difficult. But if you truly love it and you are determined to learn it and go through the pain, you will notice that there are a lot of treasures on the other side of that. And this does not mean you have to burn yourself out or hustle your way to the top or, you know, try to ignore everybody and anybody to get there. What I'm saying is, make it easier for you to win. Make it easier for you to thrive and collaborate. Make it easier for you to be much more aligned each day. Just 5 minutes of meditation, just like a 10-minute walk around the block, right? These little things, man, that are gonna help you much more in the long term. These simple inner work exercises will start to stack. And trust me, when this starts to stack, the number on your bank account will change. Because you feel good, you feel you know when you actually go on vacation and then you start to notice that you're actually making more passive income? Because you're feeling so good, because you're in an environment that has abundance, because you're celebrating, and celebration is higher vibration. Do you guys realize that? You have to keep yourself in a high vibration in order for you to actually gain this mastery, this success, this effortlessness. Okay? So really important message today, okay? Stop hustling just for the sake of hustling. And stop doing it just because Gary Vee said it, or like someone posted about it. Or like, oh yeah, that guy has all the money and all the women and all the power. I guess I have to only listen to him. Yeah, okay, but what about yourself, bro? What about your higher self who's been giving you advice since you were like a toddler? Okay? What about your own internal, intrinsic happiness? Like, intrinsic in terms of, there's external rewards, right? Like, okay, I get a certification, or I get a paycheck, or I get the record deal. But then there's intrinsic rewards of what are the behavior traits that got me the record deal? What are the behavior traits that installed into me that got me the paycheck? Okay? You got to focus on those, the traits that you must establish and adopt. So if it's determinism, is it this feeling of certainty of your purpose, that you know exactly what you want to do? Is it the fact that, you know, is it the behavior trait of being friendly or altruistic? Is it the behavior trait of, you know, seeing opportunity where there is none, being a little bit more resourceful with your time? What really is it that is the behavior trait that got you to that end goal, or will get you towards your certain end goal? And not being attached to the finish line, but beyond that. I want you to see through the finish line. Almost like after you finish the finish line, right? The little flag there, you're already ready for the next one. And you're not going to be so attached to, what do I do now? I don't know what to do now. I've reached my goals. I guess I'll give up again. And we start to fade out. It's like someone who goes to the gym, they get the body that they want, and then they stop going. Bro, what the hell are you talking about? You need maintenance mode, right? You need to like go in and at least keep yourself a little bit healthy and make it a part of your lifestyle, and like start building on that. Don't just go and then give up and then just, you know, try again, and then yo-yo diet, and then yo-yo lifestyle, and then yo-yo honey singer, okay? Enough is enough. Let's go. Upward Spiral gang, may we never be the same again. You already know, hit that like and subscribe button. We're a tribe. We're the Flow State Jedis. We're the Upward Spiral gang, which means every single day, something's getting better and better. Our life quality is getting better and better. Let's go. Boom.